are going to continue the part 2 of the chapter number 10 of the history subject. So we will continue the chapter in the part 2. So the next topic is the theatre. So in the ancient India, we can see many tradition of the telling of the story through the songs, musics and the dance. So this art were discussed in a very great detail in the Natya Shastra by the Bharat Muni. Means in this way they used to tell the story about the related to the songs, musics and the dance. So when these arts are presented with the supporting dialogues, they used to present their art. That is known as the theatre. Among the ancient Sanskrit plays, means at that time the Sanskrit plays was going on. That was the Swapna Vasavaduta by Bhasa and Abhijanans Shakuntala by Kalidasa, etc. But these were the two very famous, and many more famous Sanskrit plays is there which was held at that in ancient India. Now the next one is the narrative literature. Narration means now we are narrating the story. That means we are here also narrating the literature. So in the ancient times the storytelling was used. At that time the storytelling was used to educate the people for the entertainment. Through the entertainment they used to tell the story. And what is the use of this telling the story means at that time only to educate the people only. So the Gunadyas, the Bruhatkatha written in a language which is called the Paishachi, which is a very well known. And Panchatantra, today also we are seeing about the Panchatantra story, which is a very famous, which was composed by the Pandit Vishnu Sharma, and he is a very excellent examples of the narrative literature. So this all text has been translated into many languages. Similarly, the Bauddha Jataka tales. The Jataka tales is also very famous. Still it has been very famous. In the ancient period also, in the present time also, we can see the Jataka tales. Many Jataka tales is there, and many Panchatantra stories is also there. And now here we will see the life of the people of the ancient India. At that time the society was divided into many different castes, which was organized, means there were many organizations of the traders also, many other organization of the traders, and many artisans was also there. And one organizations was known as the Shrinis. And the trade which was carried out, means the businesses, the trading they were doing by the seas routes as well as in the land routes, by the land routes also. In both the routes they were doing the businesses. Many Indian goods were demanded and were exporting in a foreign countries, like the fine textiles, ivory, precious stones, spices, beautifully made earthen pottery. These were very demanded in the foreign countries. And many crops also has been produced at that time, like rice, wheat, barley and lentil. Lentil means masoor. And the diet of the people at the ancient India was the food items which was made from the meat, fish, milk, ghee and the fruits. These were the diet of the people at the ancient period. The people mostly used to wear cotton garments, cotton clothes they used to wear, and which is made up of silk, and the woolen garments also they used to wear according to the seasons. And many clothes we can resemble today also, and at that time also it has been very famous, dhoti, uparni, mundasi and the sari. These were the different types of clothes which we can see today also and in the ancient India also. The concept of stitching of the clothes, which was introduced in the India during the Kushana period, means the stitching of the clothes was first introduced in our India. In which period? During the Kushana period. So these were the life of the people of the ancient India. Now we will talk about the science at that ancient India. In the science, the first things comes as a medicine. Indian medical science, which is also known as another name, Sanskrit name, that is the Ayurveda. It seeks to understand the symptoms of an illness, it diagnoses and the treatment. Ayurveda means when we are treating someone, first we try to understand the symptoms of the illness, what the diseases is there, what the diagnosis, then afterwards we used to give the treatment. Jivka was a very well-known Vaidya. Vaidya means who treats the person. Jivka. He is a very well-known famous Vaidya which was at the court of the king Bimbisara. The Charaka Samhita, which contains a very detailed information about the clinical diagnosis and the paramesis, means about the medicine and about the treatment, and which was written by the Charak, the famous surgeon at that time. That means we are talking everything about the ancient India only. At that time, very famous surgery was the surgeon was the who does the surgery. That was the Shushruta, who has discussed many diagnoses about different elements and many remedies, curative, in his treatise the Shushruta Samhita. The importance of this text was that they used to discuss different causes, which is like a injury, fractures, and many types of injuries was there, and various types of surgeries which was required for them. This type of discussion was going on in the Shushruta Samhiti. The text whatever was there, which was translated in the Arabic languages and which was known as the Kitabi Susud. Vagbhata was also wrote many books on the medical science also. So this was the medicines related to the ancient India. Now next we will talk about the mathematics and the astronomy. In the ancient India, the Indians were the first to use the numericals, that means the numbers, now 1 to 9 and the 0 also. They were the first to use this number, this Indians, and they invented many concept of the decimal system in the digit, in the value of the digit, which changes according to their places. That means today which we are learning as a units, tens, etc. That means at that times ekam daham they used to say in the ancient India at that time the languages. Now it has been the units and the tens. The scientist who wrote the book Aryabhatya, that means the Aryabhat, the name, the scientist, which included many formula of the mathematical for solving the problems. And Aryabhata is also one of the famous astronomer also. And he stated, he only told that the earth revolves around the sun. So Varamihir, he also wrote the famous text which is the Pancha Siddhantika in the 6th century AD. In this, it has been discussed about the Indian astronomy, about the principles of the astronomy which came from the Greek, Roman and the Egyptian civilization. So the text of the mathematicians who lived in the 7th century CE was the Brahmagupta, and he is translated into the Arabic languages. So now next we will see about the centers of the education. That means from where we get the education, the university. The Takshashila was a very important city in the ancient India, which was in the Indian trade route. Today it is in the Pakistan. By seeing the archaeological evidence, they found and they suggest that this city is established in the 6th century BCE by seeing the evidence at that time. Jivka, a temporary of the Gautama Buddha, and he was a famous Vaidya also, which we have studied in the medicines paragraph, and he studied in the Takshashila University only. And Chandragupta Maurya, who founded the Maurya Empire, he also educated in this university only, Takshashila. The Greek historians, that means who's Alexander, who has given a description about this university. And they stated that such a university is not exist anywhere in the Greece. Who has given the statement? That is Alexander. And now next the famous Chinese Bauddha Bhikkhu, that is the Fa Hing, who came to India around 400 CE, and he also visited this university, Takshashila University. In this university many educations, that means this university has been providing education in various subjects like the Vedic literature, Buddhist philosophy, economics, logic, etc. Now next is the Varanasi. That means the river Ganga, which has the two tributaries in the Varanasi, that is the Varana and the Asi. That is why it is known as the Varanasi here. This city is located between them, which is called the Varanasi. In the ancient times, these centers also provided the education, especially in the areas whose living the Vedic and the Jain, that means the Buddhist philosophy. And the next one is the Vallabhi. Vallabhi was an ancient city, that means at that time one city was named there. It was in the Saurashtra, that is in the Gujarat. From 5th to the 8th century it was also a very important center for the Jain and the Buddhist philosophy. Here also they provides the education. And the Chinese people, that is Yong Chang, It Sing, and a Bauddha Bhikkhus, that is the Bauddha Bhikkhus which was the Fahin, he also visited the Vallabhi. Now the next one is the Nalanda University. The Nalanda University, which is found near today's Patna city. Today if we will talk about in the Patna city in Bihar, we can find the Nalanda University. The Emperor Harshvardhan, which made the donation to this university. According to the description, that means the Yun Chang, who was a Chinese, It Sing, who came in the this Vallabhi also, and who came in the Takshashila University also. They accommodate thousands of students in the Nalanda University. Here the thousands of books are stocked in the library in this university. Students are seeking to take the admission in the university and to appear the examination at the entrance gate. So you can see here the seal of the Nalanda Mahavira, the coins. And the next one is the Vikramshila University, which is located today. It has been located in the Bhagalpur in Bihar, which was established by the Dharampal in the 8th century CE. And it has the 6 virahas. Each was having its own separate entrance. Next one is the Kanchi, that is it has been introduced in the Pallava dynasty, which was in the 6th century CE. And the Kanchi, which is in the Tamil Nadu. And it is also a very important center for the education, and it is the center for the teaching and the learning of the Vedic also, Vedic, Jain and the Buddhist text. And the next one is the art and the architecture of the ancient period. Many stone pillars which was erected by the Emperor Ashoka, and in many places it is a very good examples of the Indian sculpture we can see. The stupa at Sanchi and the cave sculptures which was located in the Udyagiri, Kandagiri, Karla, Nashik, Ajanta, Ellora, etc. These are the stups which are famous stup and the sculptures which we can see, and it shows the same tradition which was advanced here. Then here also we can see the many art of making images which is developed at the Gupta period. Many temple architecture also we can see which was developed at the time of the Chalukya and the Pallava dynasty, which is in the South India. And the famous very temples, that is the Mahabalipuram, which is the testimony of the architecture. And at that time they used to make the images of the deities by making the art of making the bronze images. They used to make the images of the deities by the bronze, which was emerged at the period of the Pallavas. And the main things of the evidence of the advanced knowledge of the metallurgy of the ancient India, it was the iron pillar which is at the Mehrauli, which is it is situated near the Delhi. So this was the art and architecture. See, this is the picturization. You can see the example of the stup and Sanchi bronze statue of Nataraj, the iron pillar which I have given the example of the art and architecture. I hope so all the points are clear.